It claims Nostradamus predicted Queen Elizabeth would die in 2022.
Tonight we begin with the wake-up call from the United Nations on what...
Nostradamus, a French astrologer and physician, was known for his extraordinary ability to see into the future and receive messages transcending time and space. He wrote a collection of poetic verses that he claimed contained predictions about future events. Surprisingly, some of these predictions turned out to be accurate, foretelling major historical events like the French Revolution, the rise of Adolf Hitler, and even the September 11th attacks. In a shocking turn of events, some of Nostradamus's predictions from over 4 centuries ago are unfolding before our eyes. What exactly were his predictions for 2024, and should we prepare for the worst? Join us as we unravel. Nostradamus made scary predictions for the next few months. Imagine being in a calm place, then suddenly disaster strikes, like an earthquake or volcano eruption. On New Year's Day, a big earthquake hit Ishikawa, Japan, causing a lot of damage. This earthquake was predicted over 400 years ago by Nostradamus. Not listening to his predictions can be dangerous. Keep watching to learn about more of Nostradamus's predictions. But first, let's talk about who Nostradamus was. Nostradamus was a smart guy who could see the future. He wrote down his predictions in poems. Sometimes, what he said happened later on. People are still amazed by his accurate forecasts. They wonder how he knew about things so long ago. Studying his predictions might help us prepare for what's to come. Nostradamus was born Michel de Nostradam on December 14, 1503, in a town called Saint-Rémy-de-Provence in France. His family changed their name to Nostradamus to stay safe during a time called the Inquisition. His dad sold grain, and his mom came from an important family. When he was young, Nostradamus liked learning about mysterious things. He went to school and learned languages like Latin, Greek, and Hebrew. Later, he studied medicine at a university. He wanted to help people because there was a terrible sickness called the bubonic plague. After he finished school, Nostradamus became a doctor. He was good at treating the plague and came up with new ways to help sick people. People liked him and respected him for his work. Nostradamus became famous for writing books called prophecies, where he predicted future events. Some people believe his predictions came true, but others aren't so sure. Nostradamus spent his life helping people and trying to make the world a better place. Even though he lived a long time ago, people still talk about him and his mysterious predictions today. In 1522, Nostradamus went to Montpellier University to study medicine. He sometimes argued with Catholic priests who didn't believe in astrology. Some say the university found out he used to work as a medicine maker, but we're not sure if they kicked him out. In 1525, he got his license to be a doctor. He changed his name to Nostradamus in Latin. He traveled a lot and helped people with the plague in France and Italy. Back then, doctors didn't know how to cure the plague, so they tried strange things like putting mercury in potions and taking blood from people. But Nostradamus tried new ideas. Instead of those old methods, he focused on keeping things clean and taking away dead bodies. He even made a pill from rose hips that had vitamin C, which helped some people with the plague. People started to know him for his new ways, and they gave him money to help. In 1531, he worked with a smart guy named Jules César Scaliger in southwestern France. He got married and had kids, but sadly, they died from the plague in 1534 while he was in Italy. He couldn't save them, and people stopped trusting him. But he didn't give up and kept trying to fight the plague. Later on, he became famous for his work. A wise person helped him write tricky predictions that got people interested. He mixed what he learned from helping sick people with his mysterious predictions. He also got into astrology and used it in his work. Nostradamus wrote books with predictions about stars, health, and weather. He was good at helping sick people by telling them to eat well and get fresh air. People liked his books, and he became known as a smart person who could predict the future. In 1555, he wrote his most famous book, Les Prophéties. It had poems that tried to say what would happen in the future. People found them hard to understand, so they thought about what they might mean. Nostradamus thought his predictions were important and would be true for almost 2,000 years. He believed in them a lot. Some people thought he had magical powers because of his predictions. Nostradamus thought he could see into the future and wrote down what he saw. His books became famous all over the world, and people still read them today. Even though some of his predictions seem to match events that happened later, others think it's just a coincidence. But no matter what, Nostradamus remains a fascinating figure in history. Some people believe Nostradamus got his predictions from a higher power, so he wrote them in a way that was hard to understand. His book got a lot of attention, with some saying he was very smart and others saying his predictions weren't clear. But let's go back and see how Nostradamus started making predictions. He focused on big events like disasters and wars that happen a lot. Some people think he predicted real events like Henry II's death, the French Revolution, and even the 9/11 attacks. By 1554, Nostradamus's predictions were a big part of his work, like in his yearly books. He wanted to put all his predictions together, so he started a huge project called Centuries. It had 10 books with 100 predictions each, covering 2,000 years. In 1555, he showed his most famous book, Les Prophéties. People still try to understand what he meant in his mysterious poems. Some say his predictions are too vague, but others think they're special, because they've stayed popular over time, even with all the arguments. People are still interested in Nostradamus's predictions, even though some don't think they're accurate. He planned a big project called Centuries in 1554, with 10 books and 100 predictions each for the next 2,000 years. But only the first book was finished and published while he was alive. We're not sure why he couldn't finish the rest of the books. Some think his busy life as a doctor and facing criticism from religious leaders might have slowed him down. Even though Centuries wasn't finished, the first book made him famous and popular. Nostradamus's predictions interested many people who tried to figure out what they meant and how they connected to real events. Even though Centuries wasn't complete, his work still influences popular culture today. Some people believe Nostradamus predicted the Great Fire of London in 1666. In one of his poems, he talked about London burning in that year, and many people dying. Some think this matches what happened during the fire. Some people think Nostradamus predicted the Great Fire of London in 1666. He wrote about London burning in that year, and many people dying. Some say the ancient lady in his poem means London, and many of the same sect will be killed, talks about fights between religious groups after the fire. But not everyone agrees. Some think his predictions are too vague and can fit lots of events, even ones that already happened. So, while it's interesting, we should be careful about thinking it's true. Nostradamus also seemed to talk about the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in World War II. He wrote about a disaster like nothing before, which matches what happened with the bombs. He also mentioned a stone and a tree, which could be the mushroom cloud from the bombs. But some say it's just a coincidence. They think Nostradamus's poems are too unclear to really predict the future. Still, people keep talking about his predictions and wondering if they're true. Nostradamus had a prediction for 2024. He said there would be a new pope after the old one dies. Pope Francis is getting older, so some think a new pope might be chosen this year. Nostradamus also said this new pope wouldn't be very strong and would face criticism. He mentioned a young person with dark skin who would help the new pope, with support from a powerful leader. This suggests the new pope might be from Africa or Asia and could get help from an important person. This would be a big change for the Catholic Church, which has mostly had European leaders. Nostradamus also talked about a war between the United States and China in 2024. He said there would be a big fight at sea that would scare everyone. Some think he meant Chinese President Xi Jinping as the leader of China. One reason why the US and China might fight is because of Taiwan. China says Taiwan belongs to them, but the US supports Taiwan as its own country. This has caused tension between the two countries, and some worry it could lead to a war. China wants to bring Taiwan back under its control and has put more soldiers near the island. But the US says it will protect Taiwan and has given it lots of help. This makes things scary because a small mistake could start a big fight. Another problem is the trade war between the US and China. They've been arguing about trade for a long time, which has made the world's economy shaky and made people not trust each other. The US and China also want to be the most powerful country in the world. They're fighting over technology, safety, and human rights. Even though President Biden tried to talk to President Xi Jinping to fix things, they didn't agree on much, and things are still tense between the two countries. If Nostradamus' predictions come true, it could mean even more trouble between the US and China. If Nostradamus is right about 2024, there could be a big war between the US and China. That would be bad for everyone in the world. But he also said something strange about a new sickness caused by not sleeping enough. This sickness would make people super tired and unable to do normal things, causing problems in society. There could be a few reasons for this sleep sickness. Using phones and social media a lot can mess up people's sleep. Feeling stressed and worried about the world can also make it hard to sleep, and pollution in the air and water can make it worse. Even though experts say we should take care of our sleep and health, things don't seem to be getting better. If Nostradamus is right, 2024 might see a strange sickness that affects how everyone sleeps. Let's hope this doesn't happen, but if it does, having good pillows and blankets might be really important. Nostradamus also said some surprising things about politics, like saying that Prince Harry will become king. Nostradamus wrote something about England in 1555. He said a king would be forced out, and a new one would come to calm things down. Some think this means King Charles III might step down because of problems, and Prince Harry might take his place instead of Prince William. Interpreting Nostradamus' 1555 prophecy regarding England's political turbulence, wherein a monarch faces deposition to be succeeded by a reconciliatory figure, has incited conjecture. Certain interpretations posit a hypothetical narrative wherein King Charles III abdicates amidst turmoil, with Prince Harry emerging as his successor over Prince William to reinstate equilibrium. This would be a big change because Prince Harry is sixth in line to be king. Nostradamus also talked about a young lion beating an older one, which some say could mean Prince Harry winning over Prince William. Another surprising thing Nostradamus said was about the 2024 US presidential election. He said Donald Trump might come back and cause trouble if he wins. He described Trump as a white dragon who would make things bad and split the country in two. But he also said that smart and brave people could stop this from happening. Trump has been doing a lot in politics lately, like having rallies and talking about running for president again in 2024. This shows he still wants to be in charge. Nostradamus' ideas are interesting, even if we don't know if they'll really happen. They give us a look into what might happen in the future, especially for important people and countries. Nostradamus' predictions have interested and worried people for a long time. He talked about natural disasters and problems caused by people. Understanding what he meant is like finding a key to the future. It helps us make sense of life, even as time goes by. His predictions remind us that what happened before affects what happens now and in the future. For example, the earthquake in Ishikawa, Japan, shows that Nostradamus might have known about it before it happened. This makes us even more curious about his predictions. Nostradamus' prophetic verses continue to evoke intrigue and contention, elucidating the intricate tapestry of human existence and the enigmatic nature of our world. They persistently resonate, serving as a poignant reminder of the interwoven threads that bind past, present, and future occurrences. Nostradamus said Trump would cause trouble and divide the country, but also hinted that smart and brave people could prevent it. Trump's been active in politics lately, holding rallies and talking about running for president again. The occurrence of the earthquake in Ishikawa, Japan, lends credence to the notion that Nostradamus possibly foresaw such events before their actualization. This further fuels our curiosity and fascination with his prophetic utterances, prompting deeper exploration into their potential insights and implications.